Hello and welcome back to the show. Today we'll be breaking down Liverpool's 2-0 win over Fulham at Anfield, a match that gave us tactical intrigue, standout individual performances, and a couple of big storylines heading into the run-in. The game featured goals from Rio, Salah, who sealed the points, but the performance had layers we need to unpack. Firstly, like to introduce, here we go, one of our panel. Good evening, Doctor. How are you, sir?
I'm well, man. I am well, ready to have a good show, man, and you know what I mean, talk through the facts, did see.
Oh, wonderful. And good evening, Vinny. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Good evening, gentlemen. Hope everyone is well too.
Yeah, we are. We're amazing. Big shout out to Mark. I can see you already there. Good evening, gents. Thanks very much for Mark Foster for tuning in as normal to our show. We're going to be touching on Liverpool versus Fulham, Liverpool PSG, Ekitike's injury, what we see as a future for Arne Slot as it currently stands, and so many other variables that have taken place within the last week or so. Before we came on here, myself and Doctor were speaking about the varied views from some of the Liverpool community in their feelings towards Arne Slot. So we can just revisit that. Doctor, what were we saying? Just continue, sir.
Yeah, so I guess if Slot, I guess the general point would be I made the point, and obviously you agreed to a certain extent, that I've been surprised by how the fans have turned against him and the nature of it. Don't get me wrong, like I said in it, I'm disappointed with how our season's gone. I'm disappointed in Slot in terms of I think he's a better manager than this, but I don't have like a innate hatred towards him or dislike or aggression towards him at all. And it just feels very strange for a manager that's won the league to be so unpopular. It almost feels like the final days of Arsene Wenger's tenure at Arsenal, where the fans just wanted him gone and they were arguing about it's Arsenal Football Club, it's not Wenger Football Club, and all of this type of stuff. And it almost feels a bit similar now. It's almost like you can't be pro Slot or want to give Slot time without being like set upon by like the rest of the fan base. And I just find it strange on the context of what's happened this season. Like we have had a historic season, a landmark season, on the basis of we've suffered a huge tragedy that no data, no research, no type of formation or analytics can prepare you for that level of grief. So yeah, I feel like if the Jota incident hadn't happened, then potentially I could understand. Even then, I was struggling a little bit, but I could more understand, I guess, just the ill feeling towards Slot. But I just think in the context of all of that, yeah, I just struggle to understand the ill feeling towards the man. No, that's not me saying that he maybe shouldn't be sacked or he hasn't done good enough. But yeah, it's people that acting almost like Slot slept with their gal. It's nuts.
Yeah, it has been quite personal. I mean, do you think that Slot may have hit his ceiling in terms of a manager at the moment?
No, I don't think so at all. I think he's a young manager, and potentially, look, maybe he needs to take a break. Look, I could see that. I'm sure Pep took a break. I'm sure after he lost all of his hair at Barcelona, I think he went on a sabbatical, and maybe Slot needs to do that. My understanding is he probably hasn't had a break since he first started management. So maybe that's needed, especially after the season that he's had. We know that death and tragedy can really impact people. Slot needed a break from Dortmund. King Kenny had a break after Hillsborough. Not to compare the two, but just to say, yeah, I think sometimes managers get burnt out a little bit, and maybe Slot needs a break. But no, I don't think it's his ceiling at all. I expect Slot to continue to compete for major honours wherever he coaches.
So yeah, thanks Vinny for joining us. I think myself and Doctor, before we jump to the show, we were just having a little overview on what we were going to discuss during the show, and one of the eras was about Slot, where we see his future. What were your thoughts, and what's the feedback that you're getting from some of the community groups on Liverpool that you've been in, Vinny?
Yes, very much same in terms of what Doctor's experiencing or seeing. There is a vitriol towards Slot. I hope you guys can you guys hear me still? Okay,
Loud and clear.
Yeah. So, but what I think it is, I think there is an element of Klopp syndrome. Yeah, Klopp was so different, and the energy and the vibe and the aura around Klopp was so different, and Slot is almost like the complete opposite of that, and it's a real struggle to adjust to it. I also feel that his personality, and the way he conducts interviews doesn't help him in terms of he's not very appealing to the masses. He doesn't exude, which you need to have in these days, a sort of character or personality which endears you to the public. Now, look, I don't think Kenny Dalglish has a personality which necessarily endears you to the public. What he done as a player.
Vinny, hold on 1 second. 1 second. Just on that, all right. Would you say this season his personality is any different than what it was last season?
Very good question. I would say no. I think we're seeing more of his personality. We're seeing more of his personality. Yeah. It's that thing, isn't it? It's that sort of situation where you warm up, isn't it? People get to know you a little bit and they think, oh yeah, he's all right. And then after a year and a half, we really know what it's like. It's like a new girlfriend, isn't it? All right. Not that I have a new girlfriend.
Or even one.
Get yourself into trouble there.
But you know when you first start dating, everything's all nice, isn't it? Everything's all perfect. And then when you have that first argument, it's okay, all right. And then when you're well into the relationship now, it's like, boy, you know what I'm saying, isn't it? Yeah. Everyone's skinning teeth. Everyone knows what I'm saying. Yeah, this is what Slot is. The honeymoon period is done.
Listen, I make you right with a lot of that. I do think his personality is beginning to, I guess, grate on some people, but I just feel like I think he's been consistent. I think he looks through the game. He looks at the game analytically, and he will explain what he's seeing, rightly or wrongly, if we agree or if we disagree. I think that's what he tries to do. But yeah, I just find it fascinating. This is one for the history books, how a manager can go from being that popular to that unpopular in such a short space of time, especially in the context of what's happened with Jota. I find it really interesting, man.
But you know, I don't think he was that popular. That's the thing. Not.
Yeah,
I think we just had we were still last season feeling the effects of Klopp, right? It was almost like it's not a wind down from Klopp, but it was almost like, yeah, we're missing Klopp, but actually this guy brought us the lead, so this is brilliant. Yeah, this is brilliant, actually. So it took a little bit of that sting out of it, which made us obviously think that this season was going to be another season of progression. Let's see what this guy can really do in line with the signings that have come in. But nothing's gone right. Nothing's gone right. And he has become, beg pardon. As the season has worn on, and maybe this is just how I'm perceiving it, he is becoming, he's starting to look even more crazier and out of his depth as the season is progressing. The decision making, all sorts, is just not working. Yeah. So
I agree with that.
yeah.
Because it almost feels like, and look, I can't recall. Well, maybe I can, but I don't think the final stages of the Rafa era, the Houllier era, or even before Roy Hodgson got sacked, I can't remember the level of vitriol towards the manager than what I'm seeing with Slot.
No,
And
it's very on Liverpool like. It's very on Liverpool like.
yeah, and it's just so interesting. Maybe it's partly because we're in like this new modern era and social media, I guess. But I just find
I
it
was just
really
about to
hard.
say that, Doctor. I think there's more of. I'm going to come back to you on that, right? Good evening, Mark Foster, and good evening, Debs, for tuning in. Deeply appreciate that. One of the things, Doctor, I think you're correct in saying as well. I think there is a lot more to do with social media, a lot to do with stats. More people that have opinions are on more platforms. I think it's being thrust down on our throats a little bit more. There's more groups. And I don't always think that's at an advantage for anybody. For anybody that's in place as an example, because we're speaking about Slot, or people ourselves who support our clubs as well. I think sometimes it can be a little bit more harmful. Sometimes I think things can be blown out of proportion as well. And I also think that some people are just taking a little bit too personal. And I said that before I mentioned on the show, some of the groups that I've been in, you would actually think that Slot has actually done something personal to a family member. I'm not at that stage, and I can assure you I will never, ever get at that stage. And it's not to say that I'm not invested in Liverpool, but sometimes I think you have to take a step back. He's human, all right? He's obviously got a skill set to be an elite manager, and there's lots of variables, whatever they may be, why he's not able to create or sustain the success that he was employed to do at this current moment. That's just where I feel. All right. And it's not that I'm sitting on the fence, but I'm saying sometimes you have to put some things into perspective as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just how I feel on it.
There is most certainly a cultural shift at Anfield. Yeah. And not everyone is taking to it very well. And that's resulted in the performances on the pitch. That's resulted in the aura amongst the players and the aura amongst the fans. It is very, it's a very, very tough time. I think for me, and I think you guys will know this, I was really trying to support him for a very long time in groups and even in this forum, right? In Cop Talk. But I think for me, the game what really kind of switched me off was the Spurs game, because that team, they're on the floor, they're on their knees, right? And if there was ever a game where you needed to make a statement, it was that one. And the fact that the players could not was just, that was almost like that was like a nail in the coffin. The performances are too erratic. They're too erratic. And you've got to wonder why that is and how that's coming about. I think the players have got a lot to answer for as well. But there is a cultural shift. And maybe a lot of the players who are there aren't ready for this cultural shift. They're still they're still Klopp heights. Do you get what I mean? And
I completely agree. Yeah, you're right, Debs, as well. Debs' comment. I think Slot is a club man. He won't rock the boat. He'll work within the lines drawn by the club. He could have gone out and complained like managers of other clubs have done in a recent past. I mean, in fairness, he's made quite some statements this season. I think one of this disheartening things he's done, and in fairness, I think he's actually done that last season. I think he's a little bit too honest. I think some of his thoughts, I think he can keep abreast and keep within the club and his coaching staff as well. So I think he's probably been a little bit too honest, but if that's the way he manages, then who am I to say anything otherwise? Mark Foster is saying, I just need Slot to be back in the summer. We can't stretch this build over anymore. Window, it needs to be a quick fix, or fans ain't going to be on Slot's side, as we've already seen this season. I just still think the community is still quite divided at the moment. I think it's going to be a painstaking if we have this type performance going into next season, bearing in mind that Slot's contract does expire at the end of June 2027. I'm not too sure whether my weak chest can take any more of these performances going into next season. Personally, it's been hard for me.
Yeah, I think the thing is that we are going to even have this season has potentially pushed us back, in my view, 2 seasons back in terms of a transition. Because what you were left with when Klopp left was stability and a really good platform to build upon. And we saw that last year in terms of the fact that we won the league. So then you're thinking there's even more of a platform to build on. But, I can hold my hands up now and say, we let go of someone like Diaz, and now look at him, right? We know that he wasn't the answer, but even you can see the difference in Núñez not being there. You can really see actually that, all right, he might not put the ball in the net and he would have drove us mad at times, but there's maybe other attributes that he brought to the team. Some people will be sitting there and want to throw tomatoes at me, but you know what I mean? But there's a truth to that.
Hands up, I was one of Núñez's biggest critics at times. But yeah, hands up, look, I still would have sold him. I'm so happy that he's gone, but I stand by that decision. But I can't look at you in the eye and say, I don't think Núñez would be a brilliant four for Wirtz. Because I think he would be. I think he'd be brilliant for Wirtz. Because he's just he's constant movement. So Wirtz knows he's going to get the ball, and Núñez is just going to be constantly making runs. That doesn't mean that Wirtz needs to hit those runs, but the running in behind, the stretching the play. And I think, yeah, VW, you've hit on a brilliant point. We've lost too many players who made the team better.
Yeah.
Or who were selfless in making the team better. Who did the decoy run for Mo Salah, who occupied the defender, who tracked back and covered when someone else went forward. That we've lost too many attributes that helps teams to function. And I just think this has been a huge thing this year. Huge.
Yeah. And we're going to lose more. This is the thing. This is why I say the transition is going to be like another 2 years, because VVD's a year older. VVD is now, unfortunately, we're wanting to hope it's a blip. We're wanting to hope that this is not the end. But he's on the other side now. I think this is a decline, yeah, in terms of VVD. He is our talisman, but you're starting to see it. He's getting older. He's not going to get any quicker, right? He's not going to get any better. But he's very pivotal to how we move forward. They're talking about, what's my man, Alisson. They're talking about him going Juve. Robertson is going. Robertson's going.
They'll definitely,
you're losing so much.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a massive overhaul, I think, in the summer as well. And you're right, Vinny, where that leads us, we'll see. I think Mark was saying things in the media, you can just put it behind, or you can when fans start booing or leaving the grounds, then things can hit a manager and players hard, and it's a manager's job to get them back. Whether he's able to, I'm actually not too sure. And I know Debs was saying in terms of recruitment and injuries and XYZ. So Man City had injury problems in January, and they went out and signed two key players. We did nothing. I think, in all fairness, I think it was quite interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna profess to say that, you know, I knew anything behind the scenes. I still believe that signing that we were unable to bring over the line with Gay is just come back to us to bite us in the rear. I really, really, really do. Vinny, you were mentioning before I just mentioned the comment by Mark about Van Dijk. I think he's been overplayed this season, and I think sometimes we forget it's not just the physical side, but the mental side when you're playing at an elite level. I don't think he's had much games that he's actually rested, you know, in all of the competitions.
Every league game in every minute, and I'm pretty sure we started every Champions League game and the cups as well. Yeah,
so it clearly has to have an impact, and he's also played for his international team as well. And don't get me wrong, we'll always hear players that say they want to play every game that's given to them because they're elite. They don't want to get rest, XYZ. And you know what? I respect that. But similar to what Vinny was saying, I think his performances have been indifferent. As you said, it may be to do transition with slot, different formations, different partnerships. Goodness, he's had a lot of different partnerships. And we're not just talking about centre-back pairings. He's had different full-back partnerships, different defensive players playing in front of him. And the amount of formations we've played this season as well has an impact. And we're just giving an example. Our focal point at the moment, we're just speaking about Van Dijk. But yeah, definitely hasn't been good.
No.
Very good point, Mum. Very good point.
And imagine if he wasn't playing. Imagine if he wasn't playing.
Goodness. But okay, so our first game, we're going to touch on the Fulham game. We seemed a little of old Liverpool as champions, but once again we lost a lot of energy after 65 minutes, but got the 3 points. So my opening question to you, panel, what was your first impression for the Liverpool Fulham game? Was it a routine win, or did we have to work harder than the scoreline suggested? Thoughts if you had an opportunity to watch the game?
Yeah, so I really like the team. And I think, quick comment on Slot, one thing that I can't defend him for this season is I think there's been too much bias in his team selection. Too many players have been picked irrespective of their form. And I can never defend that. If I don't agree with it, then I can't defend it, even if I like you. And I just think Gravenberch and McAllister have been really poor. I think Curtis Jones, alongside Szoboszlai, has been our best midfielder for an extensive period of this time. And I feel there was no coincidence that in that first half especially, we produced one of our best performances of the season. Well, certainly for a long time, should I say. So I think we got the midfield right. I think Curtis Jones and Szoboszlai gave the team a brilliant balance in terms of the energy, the ball recoveries. Look, neither of them are what you would call expert defensive players, but there's the aptitude to want to defend, to do the dirty stuff, to close people down, and to try their best off the ball. And I think that gave us a fantastic balance. And then for the first time, we had a goal-scoring threat in Mo Salah, if you get him centrally. Then we had a winger who can give the ball to him in good position, especially if he's on the move, and he can just create stuff. So I just feel it was a really balanced team. Like, the midfield was set up well, and then we had threat on the wings. And I just think, I know it's people can argue it's too little, too late, but I thought it was really, really encouraging, man.
Did you have an opportunity to watch the game or see the highlights at all, Vinny? And what were your thoughts?
Saw some of the highlights, not had a real opportunity to watch the game, but also read over the feedback from the game, and it was, it sounded very, very positive in terms of, it looked like it would be a good precursor into coming into that into the PSG game. Rio done really well, and it just seemed like, okay, these guys can do this. But again, it's weird, right? And I'm not trying to take away from talking about the actual match, but the problem you have, a result like that, as good as it is, you're not even embracing it because you just don't know what's around the corner. You can't even enjoy it because it almost feels like a full storm. You're already waiting for, all right, what's coming next. So it's even hard to critique these games, right? And I don't know the game like how you guys know it, but it's very hard to critique these games and come out with superlatives about the performance because in your mind you're thinking, well, was this just a one-off? What's coming next? What's coming next? Absolutely. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. No, you're correct 100%, and I think it was one of those things. Like, I think Liverpool controlled the first half. I mean, we scored twice in 4 minutes, and Fulham kind of struggled to create clear chances despite decent spells of possession. I think one of the things I was thinking of, like, did we kill the game early, or did Fulham let us get us off the hook? These are things going through my mind anyway, right? And like you were saying as well, sometimes our gameplay is quite unpredictable. So how important was it that the quick double we scored before half time? I think, did that help us to kind of settle our nerves and make us be a bit more positive going into the second half? Because it was just like bang, bang, really, with Rio almost being the catalyst from his goal and then being involved. And I'm saying involved because I want to give him more gameplay, but the assist before the assist for Salah's goal.
Yeah,
but I think it helped us there. Yeah, I definitely think it's helped. But the shape going into that, so we played the 4-2-3-1 with Wirtz being the creative hub, Rio over on the left, Salah on the right, and Doctor, your man Gakpo up top. How do you think he featured in this game?
I think moving forward, that has to be his role, because I feel like, I know last season he did very well when he played left, but he was a left inside forward rather than a left winger. And this season, because of how we tried to organize a team, I feel like we needed more wingers. So I've been quite encouraged with his most recent performances through the middle personally, because I think that his hold up play is not bad, and he's quite efficient with his use of the ball when he's through the middle. It's when he goes to the left wing that he starts doing that nonsense cutting in and I can't see nobody else but shoot play. I think through the middle, and I think his assist for Mo's goal, I thought was real good hold up kind of centre forward play. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't a great ball from Rio, but Cody, you know what I mean? He got it under control. Good layoff. So, and then even I think it was the Wolves game in the FA Cup when we won. Was it 3-1? I thought he was again very good through the middle. So yeah, listen. I think Cody through the middle, like he's a good fool. Like, I was happy with him.
Do you know one of the questions that I was thinking of, and both of you have mentioned about trying to get the balance right between control and risk. All right. So I know we only just speaking about Cody on that side. And you were mentioning sometimes he drifts over towards the left, right? So he played more as the focal point. Do you think that with Rio playing on the left, there was no need then for Cody to drift over onto the left, because Rio seemed to have space, impact, high game IQ, which allowed him to actually dominate that side of the pitch? I wonder, thoughts on that from whether you watched the game or from the highlight?
Yes, so I think Cody, in my opinion, has got a good football IQ. He hasn't always showed that this season, but I think you can give him a role and he can do it with a certain amount of discipline. Absolutely. So I think it was clear the areas of the pitch that he needed to occupy in our different phases and when he could move. And I just think, just don't get in the way. Like, Rio has got his guy on toast. Let's create opportunities that can give that play as much chance of succeeding. So don't have a fullback all the time trying to overlap and get in his way. Like, create that 1v1 situation, and then let's see what comes from that. And then that's what clearly worked, man. So yeah, Cody just needs to fix up. He's just done too many stupid things this season that we know are unacceptable for a player of his ability and his understanding of the game. This is somebody who's played false nine. Now, if you think about Klopp, right? Klopp played Cody from the left wing. He played him as a false nine. He played him as a number 8 in a couple of games, for a few games. I think this Klopp's first season, the start of the season, Cody played 8. So the guy is a tactically a good player. He understands the game. He's just doing nonsense. And sometimes you've just got to say, you're doing nonsense, bro. Like, we know you're better than this. But then I guess this is when Slot needs to come in and say, if you're doing nonsense, then you just don't play. So yeah, I guess long-winded way. Yeah, I was pleased with what Cody did.
Brilliant. And I think similar to what Debs has mentioned, we'll need Gakpo now as a striker for the rest of the season. Isak needs to step up in these last 6 games. We'll revisit that, Debs. And and I think Mark Foster is saying, I think Rio stopped Cody doing a silly thing. Rio can cut inside and look for a player or find himself space to shoot. Thoughts at all, Vinny, on that offensive position there? Would Cody play more central for us?
No, I don't think Cody Gakpo is a Liverpool player anymore. I don't think he's a first team player. I think he's had a few seasons now where he has shown touches or moments of brilliance, but not consistent enough. Maybe he's also feeling the impacts of what's been a very inconsistent, mediocre season. But I do not think he's the answer for us going forward. I think he is a squad player at best now.
The thing is, VW, he's not being paid squad player money, bro. He's on $250 a week.
I hear you, but he's not the answer, is he? He's not that guy.
This is it.
I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, man.
No, he's not. He's not. 100. Cody.
He's not.
I agree with you. I think Cody is a good squad player. Good squad player. Wow. But and I think this is, it's funny, right? The more I try to give a bit of context for Slot, is the more I end up cussing him. Because I think to myself, like, start the season, from what I could understand of what we were trying to do. I do take into account it was new players and everyone's gelling, etc. But it seemed like, for me, the team was platforming for Cody to be the main man.
Yeah.
In the first day, he was the one that was getting the opportunities to shoot. He was the one who we were almost creating the angles where he could receive the ball on the run and almost be our key player. I'm just like, hold on a minute. We've done all of this in the summer, and we've platformed it for Cody to be the main man. Like, I don't know what could go wrong.
And I'm going to add another player to this very quickly as well. He had an awesome season last season, but Gravenberch's not the answer either.
That's
glad you said that, bro. Glad you said that.
Do you think? And I'm so glad you actually raised that as well, Vinny. Do you think he's been overplayed in that position there, or do you also think there's variables where he's dropped off? So, like the variables, like you said, has he not been as good as he was last season? Has he dropped off? Has he played too much? And has he also had a consequence of all of the changes in formations and tactics from Slot? That's just a question mark. I don't have the answer.
It's a very good question. And you can you can pick any of those options as an answer. I just feel that, that he's, yes, it's a drop off. It's a sum of all those parts. But I just feel that going forward, I don't think he's going to get any better than what he is. And we need to find, again, through this transition period, whether people like it or not, the better players. Now, better players doesn't mean that we have to spend more money or go mad in terms of breaking the bank. We had a strategy which was able to bring quality players in at reasonable prices. They need to revisit that again. I just don't think, and they've done it through Gravenberch. But let's remember, he wasn't the first option, was he? Who was the first option? Caicedo. Then when we couldn't get Caicedo, who was going to be the next option? What's the other man? Is it Navera? What was his name again? The other one.
Yeah.
Lavia.
Lavia. To Chelsea as well, wasn't it?
Went to Chelsea as well. So then Gravenberch was the third option. And we're seeing, I think this is it. He's a third option. I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner. I really don't. But there's got to be changes. These players can stay, but I don't think they're the players who are going to take us to a consistent level of competing for major trophies.
But VW, we've apparently, depending on what you believe, well, or so say what's reported, we've given him this new deal and he's earning between 275 and 300k a week.
Who's earning that volume of money?
Gravenberch. It's on a 6-year deal that equates to that. And this is what I keep on saying. Like I know Slot's a lightning rod for most of it, but Slot's not the one giving out the contracts.
Yeah.
Slot's not the one who goes to sell Diaz or keep Diaz on 50 grand and give Gravenberch 300 grand, or give Cody 250. Maybe Slot had input, but there's too many things at the club which are not making sense.
Yeah.
Too many.
I'll just shut up then, because like you said, if we're doing that, we're giving them these new contracts. I'm looking at it saying that I don't think, and maybe it's just because we've had a very mediocre, very bizarro land season. But to me, it's shining out even more now that these guys aren't the guys to take us forward. Would you rather have, for example, if you could have Declan Rice or Gravenberch, who would you have?
It's funny. I would say Rice, not because I think he's better than Gravenberch, just I think he's more consistent at doing specific things. I know with Rice, he's going to compete off the ball. He's going to be up and down. He's going to put in tackles. He's just going to compete physically, and he's got a good enough technical base to do things that I need him to do during the game technically. Gravenberch is just. So I think so. Stoney, I think your question was brilliant on Gravenberch. So I think it's a couple of things. I think firstly, I think from a tactical perspective, teams began to suss him out even last season when he was playing well. And that is basically his passing range is limited. He's not a good passer of the football. He becomes a lot more... Actually, let me rephrase that. He's not a confident passer of the football. And therefore, when he's in deeper positions, his passing does not break lines. When he's a bit further forward, he's a bit more adventurous with the ball if that's passing and shooting. But when you give it to him in that number 6 position, he does not progress the play well enough. So there's a couple of things. One, he has missed Trent because Trent would progress the ball. 2, he had Szoboszlai as a really hard-working number 10, and therefore we was so much more compact, and he didn't have as much to do, and he, as a number 6, was protected defensively through Szoboszlai, and he was supported in terms of build-up through Trent. And then the next layer is that teams sussed him out and they realized he's not a great passer, or he's not a confident passer, but he's excellent at carrying the ball, especially if you press him. So teams just stopped pressing him. And if you stop pressing Grav and you stand in front of him, you say, do something, he struggles. But if you go up to him and he can turn you and then drive, world class. So I think his skill set is quite specific. I think he's, as I said, I think he's world class at that, turning, press resistance, carrying the ball, releasing the ball. But in terms of just orchestrating your attacks, no. And defensively, no. His instincts, the way he tracks runners, the way he reads the play, he's not what I'd call, he doesn't have good defensive instincts. But so I just think, yeah, the number 6 experiment, it's been blown up. Like we've just got to move forward. Maybe he can still be a key player for us, but he needs to be next to a different profile of player. And lastly, on Gravenberch, a key thing, going back to the bald head manager slot, is you've got to pick players when they're playing well. And too many times he's been picked and he's been delivering stinkers.
You see, even with that. Oh, I'm going to come back to that, Doctor. So, Mark Foster is saying, I want Camavinga over Rice. I think he'd be more will a monster DM than Ryan or Rice. The interesting thing will be, Mark, if Camavinga was to move over from Real Madrid, what will be the price tag on him? I think it's been.
To be fair, I don't think Camavinga would be that expensive because, one, he's a squad player there, and two, he hasn't kicked on. And I don't know why these young players sign for Real Madrid. Real Madrid does not have a pedigree for developing young players.
No.
When you are an established star, world class, wherever level you are, and your game has developed, then by all means go to Real Madrid. If you're a young player, don't go to Real Madrid. I mean, Odegaard didn't work out. Hakimi didn't work out. Etu, we could go back through history. Young players don't go to Real Madrid and thrive. Yes, some will, but you've got to. So him going to Real Madrid at like 17, 18, Camavinga at 16, one of the best young players I've seen since I started watching football. I don't think he's any better than that right now. I think if he'd gone somewhere else, he legitimately could have been, in my opinion, top 3 midfielders in the world, because I think his skill set was that well-rounded at 16. But I still think he's been developed well.
And even with that, I think Slots mentioned briefly in a few of his recent press conferences about if Liverpool are to bring in any players moving forward, then it may be that we're required to sell players. I scratch my head on that. And the only reason why I scratch my head on that is because the players that are going to be moving on are all going to be on a free. So maybe what we need to do is think about not letting those players go on a free, and at least get some form of finance from that. That's just my own thoughts on that anyway.
Why is Mo Salah going on a free contract?
I don't know.
But some of the Salah fans, I call them the Salah zealots, who will say that the club are against Salah, I let him go on a free. It's like Rude Boy. If a player has got a market value of this, I don't know, between 30 and 60 million pounds to the club, and they're letting him go on a free, they're doing him a favor. Like they're not tying him up. So I'm surprised if what's happening there.
I think that might speak to how big the fallout has been, because they quite possibly he was going to go at the end of this season anyway. But I think, had all things been well, he would have gone for a fee. But I think things have got so toxic, and I have no verification of this or no source for this. But just based on how we are as a club at this moment in time, I think things are so toxic. It's almost like, do you know what? Yeah, we'll let you go. You go for free. We don't want no more drama. And I think that could have played a part. Could be completely wrong. I could just be feeding into the media gossip and so forth. But I think
it's odd, man.
It's really for me. It's really odd. And Doctor, I'm kind of in line with you, right? Because I'm thinking, so this season, and we're speaking about whether it's going to be first team players, whether it's going to be squad team players, whether it's going to be development players, right? I'm thinking on my head. So at the moment, if Alisson goes to Juve, and I'm not saying that our scouts aren't looking for other players here, right? I'm just thinking in my head, all right?
Yeah.
So if Alisson goes to Juve, that means Alisson moves on and Freddie Woodburn moves on, right? At the moment. So that means then we only have our Georgian goalkeeper and Harvey Davis, who's our development goalie in the squad, two goalkeepers, right? So that means we're probably likely then required to purchase another goalkeeper to then play alongside our Georgian goalkeeper, right? So Andy Robinson's contract's up at the end of this season, is that correct? Yeah, because he's mentioned that, isn't it?
Yeah.
We still don't know what's happened with Konate. We know his contract's up. We don't know whether he's signing XYZ.
He's in talks as we go into May.
All right, cool. So he's in talks. We already know that even though they haven't played regularly, and I'm just speaking about squad and development players, another centre back, Reece Williams, I mean, he didn't play much for us anyway. He'll be moving on at the end of this season because his contract expires, right? But going back to what you were saying about Alisson, he's sustained or he's been injured a lot this season, and his contract actually expires next season, right? So Ali's contract expires next season. Van Dijk's does as well, if I'm correct in saying that. Endo's will move on next season. Salah will move on. Gomez, Curtis Jones. The deal hasn't worked out with Calvin Ramsey, in my opinion, hasn't worked out. Stefan still having lots of the injuries there. So that's 8 players there. Am I 8? 8?
One more as well.
That's just gone.
There's one more, and that would be unfortunately Harvey Elliott, who whilst I can see an angle that maybe he's not good enough to be our starting attacking midfielder. I think he certainly would have a lot of value as a squad player. Maybe he wants to be a starter, but I guess the point of Harvey Elliott would be simply this. His career was trajectory in a really positive way. It was really he was on the up, and his value in the last couple of seasons has tanked a little bit. One, because in Slot's first season he hardly played him, and two, obviously this year issues with Emery at Villa, so his value is tanked a little bit. And on top of, not only is his value tanked a little bit, if he was to come back, he's only got 12 months left. So is he going to sign a new contract, or are we going to have to sell him with a player who's declined as an asset and he's only got 12 months left? So we're going to get even less of him. So maybe 2 seasons ago, he may have had a book value 45, 50 million pounds. We might get about 50 million pounds for Harvey in the summer. Like,
right, that didn't even cross my mind, Doctor. And you know what you said about that as well. Curtis Jones's contract expires in June as well. So that's probably 9 players 2007. Yeah. So June.
Curtis is next year. Yeah. Right, so Curtis will have 12 months.
So even look at that then. Look at all of the players that we could potentially move on with gaining absolutely no value at all. I think Bingy mentioned a role because we just touched on briefly about Grav. So Bingy was saying Gravenberch's role has changed from season. He was more of a traditional 6 than what he's been asked to do now.
Yeah, he's been asked to be a bit more. He's been given a bit more flexibility to attack a bit more this season. But that's because that's what he's best at. Even if you look at last season, if you compile the highlights of Gravenberch last season, the vast majority of that are attacking highlights. This is our number 6. Most of it is him turning with the ball, it's quick little interplay, and it's him driving forward. It's attacking attributes. He's not a good defensive player. Like, he's just not for the levels that we want. Now, look, we all watch football, so we all know that your number 6 doesn't need to be your main defensive player. Everyone knows that. There's different profiles of number 6. We got spanked by PSG. Their number 6 is Vitinha, who's much more of a ball player in the Xavi hybrid Iniesta type of way. But the Portuguese lad, I can't remember what his name is. Neves for them. I can't remember what his name is. João Neves. He essentially does the defensive play. He's the defensive, but he's just a box-to-box player. He's the one that will get stuck in tackles on the ground. He's your gnarly midfielder. So there's somebody putting in tackles. So yes, your number 6 traditionally doesn't need to be the most defensive player. Pirlo played number 6, wasn't defensive. It was Gattuso, was box-to-box. But my point with Gravenberch would be his best attributes are not defensive. They don't align to defensive football. So if he's not going to be, if you're going to have him as your 6, you need somebody else who's going to kick people and tackle. And when was the last time you saw a Liverpool player in midfield do a crunching tackle, a slide tackle, pull someone back, cynical, a 50-50, take someone out? Someone just kick someone. No one's doing it.
Our midfielders at the moment, and that includes Jones or Mac, they're just out there tickling other players' backs at the moment.
Soft, bro.
They're not. It's just quite
It's a joke. Yeah, like not everything can be on slot, innit? Like you're not kicking man because Arnie's not saying to you, Grav, I know you really want to play like Joey Barton, but you can't. No, show some flipping balls sometimes, man.
Definitely. There's just some quick fire comments which we appreciate that I'm just going to go through, and these were really based on the players' contracts that we were speaking about when they expire and when we see them moving forward. But before I get to those, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also download the content as well on YouTube if you have the premium app. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into the show. There's a quick one from Mark. Konate's deal is done. The holdup was bonuses over if we win trophies. Fabrizio broke the news yesterday. Well, if it's about whether we win anything, then he's definitely gone because we're not winning anything this season. So hopefully Fabrizio's wrong on that. Regarding Harvey Elliott, Villa have to buy him. I'm sure that was in the loan contract. I think there was a lot of financial issues there why Harvey didn't play at Villa. Am I correct? If you guys have got more knowledge on that, please share it.
So it's an obligation to. So Villa have an obligation to buy once. I think he either starts 8 Premier League games or plays in 8 Premier League games. I think it's plays in 8 Premier League games. They have an obligation to buy. Villa are now digging in their heels. If it's Emery, if it's Villa, it's not quite sure what part of the Villa team, and they're just not playing him. So his value is just tanking because he's not playing.
So they've got him sitting on the bench.
I don't think he's even making squads.
Wow. So Mark Foss was saying Jones, and we were speaking about when Jones' contract expires, same time as Arne Slot's. Jones wanting silly money too. He was looking for 300k supposedly a week. So that would take him higher than what you were mentioning that Grav's on. Is that correct, Doctor?
Grav's on 300 grand. Jones is right to ask for 300 grand. And this is the point. And this has been my point. We're hearing, remember in the last season, people saying, Diaz can't get 200 or 250. That's madness. But then we go next season, I can give that to Cody. And this is the point. What we're doing isn't making sense. On one hand, we're acting like we're Saudi Arabia and it's Riyadh season and Turkey Al Sheikh, and we're just giving these boxers big, massive money. And then we're trying to haggle with Crystal Palace over 5 million for Mark Gahey to then let Mo Salah leave, who's got a book value of, say, 40 million pounds on the following season. It's not making sense. Are we a prudent fiscal club, or are we just lavish with cash? Like, I don't understand. It's like we're trying to do both, and neither's working. It's not making no sense.
Not even one bit. So we had we're going to move on to the Champions League game.
Please.
So we had Fulham, and then midweek, on Tuesday, we had an opportunity to play the return leg, home leg against Paris Saint-Germain.
Sorry, Tony, I'm going to interrupt you there very, very quickly. I do apologize because it's going to lead on. It's going to bother me. So obviously we went in for Kavicha last January. Last January. because you remember there was that controversy over Nunes thought he was going to be going, and then he got angry with Slot. So apparently the deal was that once we secured Kvitska's deal, then we were going to sell Nunes to Saudi. So Nunes had basically packed his bags, and then we didn't get that deal over the line. The stumbling block was that PSG were happy to pay his wage, and we didn't want to pay him the money that he was obviously maybe asking for, or that PSG was offering. So this comes back to my point. Kvitska is on less money, so we offered him. He's currently on less money than the money we are paying Cody Gakpo. Someone help me out, please.
Wow.
We're saying you're not worth that, and then 6 months later, we're going to give Cody Gakpo more money than what you was asking for. But apparently, it's all on Arnie Slot. Jesus Christ, help me out here, innit? Sorry if I'm blaspheming God. Apologies. Sorry, Stoney. Go on.
No, not at all.
Please.
I think since Cop Talk have been aired, one of the things that we've always done, we've always listened to our audience. So Mark Foster, can we skip Champions League game? The answer is yes. Paris Saint-Germain 2, Liverpool 0. The next game we have to play is Everton on Sunday. What are your thoughts on the Everton game, gents?
Mate,
This
listen, mate.
is gonna be our first game playing at the
Yeah,
what's the stadium called? The Hill Dickinson
Dickinson
Stadium. What are your thoughts moving forward in terms of this game?
we can't just catch a break. We can't catch a break. So before I touch on that, our season has been so bad, right? It's been our worst season for years. But we're only 3 points behind third.
Yeah, mad.
That is absolutely mad. So, looking at the games this weekend, right, that the two teams above us have got, we do have a good opportunity to get some points here. If the team we were playing was at Everton, if the team we were playing was at Everton at their new ground and their first derby at their new ground, I can't see them losing. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I can't see them losing. Can't see it. If you're asking me to predict a score, then we've seen how this season panned out, right?
So Man United. So what's the fixtures? Man United have got
Chelsea.
I think. And does anybody know who
that's
Villa?
Chelsea.
Who Villa got? Does anyone know? Oh, they got Sunderland.
Where?
I think Villa at home. Yeah, Villa at home on, because when we got Everton on Sunday, right?
Yeah. Then it's City
so
against...
Villa have got Sunderland at 2:00.
Okay, Sunderland might do something. You know, they are an interesting team, man.
And Villa are interesting because there was a part, I think, was it just before Christmas when they beat Arsenal? I was like, do you know what? They could actually put a run together and be a surprise team. But you can't rely on them. You cannot rely on them. Yeah, you cannot. But so to go back to your question, I think it's going to be like a 1-1 draw. I'll be honest with you. I know that's not what people want to hear, but let's be real, right? This season, you can't predict. You don't have any confidence going into these games. None.
You don't, BW. And you know what as well? A 1-1 draw, if United beat Chelsea, if Sunderland draw with Villa or even better beat Villa, is pretty good for us because it means that the gap extends by 1 point against Chelsea. So, yeah, picking up a point. Look, unfortunately, we've got to be honest about where we are at, and a point away to Everton right now isn't a bad result as we try and get fifth. It's not a bad result. Is it acceptable for what Liverpool should be aiming for? Absolutely not. But if we're playing the cards that we're currently got at the moment, it's not terrible. It's not.
True. True. I mean, we'll be going into that game with the disheartening news about Ekitike's injury. I think it's been confirmed that he has sustained an Achilles rupture. Whether it's a tear or whether it's a a full rupture, it clearly means that he misses the rest of this season and the World Cup. I think it's been quite disheartening news. I think he's been one of the positive players, and I just think he's been one of the positive outcomes I've seen for Liverpool this season. I really feel for him. But when you saw him go down, you knew it was that injury. I mean, I'm not an elite player, but I sustained 2 Achilles ruptures. I did my left one in 2019, and then I did my right one in 2021. And I can tell you that is not an injury anybody wants to have. So I just hope that he's going to be. I just hope that he's going to be in a good place. He's got his family, everybody around him to comfort him, and that his mind's in a good place, and he comes back in a positive light. But how do you see us then lining up against Everton without Ekitike leading the front line? That is
right now. Slot has gone from picking the same team every week, the same formation that wasn't working, to now the man turned into the Tinker Man in Claudio Ranieri the last few games. Like, we've seen 3 different formations in the last 3 games. Like, I have no idea what this brother's going to do. And if I'm being honest, I don't know if he knows what he's going to do. So I would like to think he goes with the team that he played against Fulham. That same lineup. Maybe he may tweak who's going to be in the fullback positions. You could play Robbo and just keep Rio left wing, and then the right side, Frimpong, and then Mo can come in. Frimpong holds the width, and then you've got potentially either Hugo or Isak leading the line. Sorry, Cody or Isak. I would potentially play. I don't know who I'd play through the middle. Isak did look better, but yeah, I don't know.
Do you think Isak looked? I think we played with 10 men. I think, don't get me wrong, nothing is Isak's fault, by the way, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't had a pre-season.
That is his fault, man.
Game time.
That's his fault that he didn't have a pre-season.
Okay. No problem. Okay. So no pre-season, and then he sustained the injury. But against Paris Saint-Germain, it's like we played with 10 men. So I have absolutely no idea what the answer to him trying to get game time or match fitness or XYZ. I have absolutely no idea. It's almost as if we have just bought an imposter. It says Isak. It says Isak on his back. It's like his AI. This is not the player from Newcastle. It's not.
And you know what the mad thing is? The mad thing for me about this, sorry to interrupt, is that as soon as he comes back, Ekitike gets injured. You just can't make this thing up, innit? Do you know what I mean? It's just like, are you kidding me?
And the worst thing is, if we had just said, all right, cool, this deal ain't moving, we'll sign you in a year, we probably could have got him for about 85 million this summer.
Thank you.
And on the basis of how the season's gone, we would have, we would have saved what, £40 million, and you'd have been fit, and you just think to yourself, we just made bad bloody decisions, man. And if there's a multiverse like in Spider-Man somewhere, I'd like to think that Richard Hughes plays with the cards differently, man. And it just looks different. It just looks different, man. It just looks different.
Yeah.
And I fixed my hair a couple of times during this show. It is what it is. But I remember saying a few weeks back, or I was in a group house, it was after the Brighton game, and I'm saying, Frimpong, man, not only is Minter roasting you, Minter doesn't even look like his girlfriend's trimming his hair. it looks like it's his grandmother trimming his hair. There's not even a fade. There's barely a shape up. There's no swag. There's no tattoos, and he was roasting Frimpong. And what was really just peeing me off is you're being put on your back, roasted, and you're getting up and you're fixing your hair. That hairband, every minute you're fixing your hairband after you're being roasted, and then like you're getting roasted again against PSG. And after a while, the hairband's now around your neck like a flipping screw. I'm saying to myself, what am I seeing from these Liverpool players, bro? Like, just do your job. My man's getting rinsed, hairbands being fixed. I'm like, what the hell is this, man? This is where you need a Fergie to dash the boot in the man's head, isn't it? Dash the boot in the man's head, like Beckham and the Alice band. Dash the boot in the man's head, because I'm sorry, this is just ridiculous. And I like Frimpong. I think he's a brilliant character, but you can't be getting roasted and you're fixing your headband, bro. No, 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 it's ridiculous.
Crazy. So in closing, your thoughts for the result on Saturday. Vinny, I'm gonna give Doctor a few minutes to breathe and inhale and exhale and get his yoga breathing on, and then I'll come back to him. Vinny, your predicted score for Sunday?
No, I think 1-1. I think it's going to be a draw.
Okay. Doctor?
Yeah, draw as well.
Definitely. And you know what? In all of the years I've been on the show, I've never ever got a predicted score correct. So I'm going to go for a draw anyway, which means that we're going to get a win. But I'm going to go for a draw. Listen, I just want to thank everybody for tuning into the show. You can be anywhere else on a Thursday, but you've chosen to tune in into Cop Talk. That we completely appreciate. We'll be here again next week, Thursday at 10 p.m. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you do have the premium YouTube, you can also download. Doctor and Vinny, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Deeply appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure always to be on. Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing everybody next week, Thursday.
Come on, Kobe.
Thank you.
Bless, gents. Apologies, man.